Hi, everyone. I'm Alexis, Director of Partnerships and Events for Tequeria. Today, we are joined by Ariana Soto. She is the Deputy Director of Coding It Forward. As you all know, and you're joining right now, today's session is called Tech que nos ayuda, Civic Tech. And in conversation with Ariana, she actually mentioned that government tech is not an actual big term that's used. It's actually called public interest tech. So already learning something, and we're just going to dive right in. But before we dive right in, I'm just going to talk about a little bit about Ariana, and then I'm going to pass it over to her to add any additional details about her and her amazing life and what she does. So Ariana is the Deputy Director of Coding It Forward, which is a nonprofit creating pathways into public interest technology for early career technologists. She oversees the strategy and operations of Coding It Forward's fellowship, which has placed over 600 fellows, which is amazing, in state, local, and federal government since 2017. She holds a BA in Government and Computer Science and a Technology Science certificate from Harvard University. Okay, with the Ivy League. But without further ado, I'm going to just pass it over to Ariana to add any other details that I've missed. And yeah, we're really, really excited to have everyone.
Thank you. Thanks everyone for being here, and thanks for that hyped intro. I don't think I have anything to add. I think you hit most of it. I've been working with Coding It Forward since I graduated, so that is kind of what I've been deep in since then. So really excited to dive in, and yeah, happy to talk about the government tech situation. The field has grown quite massively, I think, since its inception, and I think things have just kind of changed a bit. So excited to dive into that. And yeah, thanks everyone for being here. This is so exciting. Appreciate the invite to come talk.
Of course. So let's just dive right in.
Sure.
Tell us, how long have you been in civic tech / this new term that I'm aware of, public interest tech?
Yeah, great question. Where did it start? So I took an unpaid internship, which we should not be doing, I will say, the summer after my freshman year, but I did that because I was planning to just come home and just be at home the summer after my freshman year, as a lot of people do, and managed to, through my dad, met someone in his building, as dads do, just saying, oh, my daughter is studying computer science, which I didn't end up studying, but was like, oh, she's interested in technology and government and whatnot. So this became my first intro into this space, which was an internship with the Los Angeles mayor's data team. They were really cool. Did not know, which is so crazy now because this is the field that I'm in. I didn't realize people were using technology in government. And this was probably in like 2017, not that long ago, but just didn't realize that was something people were doing. So I spent the summer working with that team and learning a lot about the type of work that people are doing in data and software within the government, and was really super excited about it. I went back to campus and decided to change what I was going to study, and decided to study government with the minor in computer science. And then Coding It Forward sent an email over some sort of email list that they were looking to bring on some new folks. They had just been founded. And so I joined the team then. I then did an internship with the New York Mayor's Office of Data Analytics, but it really was like not me looking for this. It just kind of happened upon it, and was really, really excited about the fact that people were using their tech skills in this space. And it's so wild to think that I didn't realize that was a thing until I fell into it. And now it's all that I do. But that is kind of how I landed in this space. And then upon graduation, knew that this was a field that I wanted to enter. And thankfully, Coding It Forward was able to bring me on full time. So I've been doing that since graduation, which is pretty wild, but it's been really, really fun. I think since Coding It Forward was founded in 2017, to see how much the space has grown since then. There are so many more opportunities for early career folks all throughout the pipeline to do this kind of work. And so it's been really rewarding to be a part of that work now in my role post-grad. So that's kind of how I landed there. It was I did not look for it. And I think the more that you talk to people about how they land where they are at, that's kind of how people find their way, by saying yes to new things. So that is definitely my story as well. It was not something that I was actively looking for. It just kind of piqued my interest, and now I'm here. So that's kind of how I landed in this space.
Yeah, thank you for sharing. I think that's a big thing, right? Especially when it comes to these different topics, right? And that's why we're aiming to talk about and have discussions about these subsectors within tech, right? Like civic tech or I can't even remember the word public interest tech, right? Because like people don't know about it. Like I know for a fact I did not know about it until I
Yeah.
started like piecing together these events, and I'm like, all right, like what else is different that we could talk about? And then all of a sudden there was like this conversation of like civic tech and everything. And I'm like, I do not know what it is. So before we even move further, can you dive in and do like an explanation on like
Sure.
what civic tech and public interest tech is? Are
Interesting.
they the same thing? Yeah, because I think some people in here are like interested, but like I
But
don't
what is
really understand what it is
It's
yet.
taken me a long time to also understand, and I will say I am by no means an expert. I think the term you were saying earlier, government technology, is a thing. Like, I think that just is, at least from my understanding, like whatever the government is doing with technology, whatever technology is used by government, I guess would be kind of my interpretation of government technology. I would say how my space that I work in has started to define itself, I think has also evolved as the space has grown. So I think civic tech has been around for quite some time, and I'm going to lean on someone else in this space who's actually very nicely defined this. So I will read this to everyone because that's what I ground myself to. This quote is from Sid Harrell, who is the author of a civic technologist practice guide. If you are interested in this space, if you are interested in learning more about this space, that is a book. It's on my shelf that I usually recommend. But anyways, this quote about what civic tech is comes from Sid, which is that civic tech is a loosely integrated movement that brings the strengths of the private sector tech world, so its people, its methods, the actual technology, to public entities with the aim of making government more responsive, efficient, modern, and more just. So I think the gist of that is just that civic tech is all kinds of different pieces of the ecosystem coming together to kind of bring big tech ideas, people, methods to kind of government. So that's civic tech. This new term, which I shared with you, public interest tech, is something that is been, I think, developed in the past couple of years. It is the phrase that our team has started to use to speak about our work. So it's how I speak about the work that I do. That definition, public interest technology, is just technology that focuses on social justice, the common good, and or the public interest. So I kind of see public interest technology being a broader umbrella term that I think captures most of the work being done in this space. So our team specifically right now works with government. We place tech talent in government, but I think public interest tech includes legal technology and nonprofits and think tanks and people who are doing stuff for the common interest, for the public good with technology. So those are my two definitions and the way that I've tried to frame my work. But I'm leaning on some folks who have tried to define these entities. So for anyone who has not heard either of those terms, that is the gist. I think you really can't go wrong using either of them. I think civic tech is the term that's been around the longest that people have started to kind of attach themselves to. Public interest tech is a pretty newer term that emerged about a year or two. And I just think it's a little bit more broad and comprehensive of not just folks doing government tech work. If that makes any sense. Happy to take follow-on questions, but that is how I've come to define my work.
No, thank you for that. Thank you for that. I know it's still like it's just a lot overall, but there's a lot of different, like you said, it's just an umbrella and there's so many things underneath it.
It's a very much evolving field, which I think is what makes it exciting. We're still redefining what it looks like and what it means. So it's a fun time to be a part of it if people are.
1,000%. 1,000%. I feel like there's so many opportunities going on. Like there's a lot of layoffs, unfortunately, that have been happening,
Yeah.
but there's also these opportunities like where people don't think about. Like, for example, everyone's just like, oh, I want to go for the Googles, the Netflix, the top company, or whatever the case, but don't realize that there's a lot of other positions out there in these other fields that people don't really think about, including civic or public interest tech. So our next question is, can you just explain like what you do as the deputy director of Coding It Forward?
Yes, for sure. I think, and I'll go back to the civic tech definition that I shared, using technology, and sometimes that means people to kind of serve government. That is kind of the gist of what we do. So our org at Coding It Forward is focused on building early career pathways into government or public service more broadly, public interest tech more broadly. So we do that primarily through a summer fellowship program. We place early career tech talent, all the typical tech roles, software, data design, product, cyber, into 10-week summer internships in state, local, and federal government. Like you said, we've placed over 600 since our founding in 2017 in about 60 different offices across the country. So pretty broad reach. So that's what we do as an org. What I do as deputy director is, at least right now, what I've really been focused on is the partnerships that we have with government. So I'm kind of the person that's on the phone trying to make connections and learn what kind of governments might be interested in early career tech talent, and really kind of leading the charge in explaining to government how important early career tech talent can be. So I'm that person for our team, just kind of finding the places where we can place fellows. Our program is really competitive and there is no lack of talent interested in these roles. So a lot of my work is just finding government offices who are ready to bring on these folks who are really excited about the work. So that's kind of what my day-to-day has been. I think outside of that, I do a bit of our recruitment work, finding students who are interested in these roles. I do a bit of communications work, so communicating what it is that we're doing and why it's important. I'm a part of a lot of groups that kind of have conversations and brainstorming sessions around what the space should be, where we should be going, what we should be doing, how we should be supporting this talent pipeline into government. So I do a little bit of a lot of things. We're a pretty tiny team, so I usually have my hands in 5 million different things, but lately the focus has been specifically working with our government partners to bring on early career talent, which has been really rewarding to find places for tech talent to kind of learn a little bit more about what government service looks like.
Thank you for that. So I think it's really cool that you're tapping into like what you do is more non-technical, which is really cool.
Yeah, exactly. I'm not a technologist, I will say. I'm not a technologist, which I will admit.
Which is good though, because that means like there is roles within tech that are non-technical. So like even like myself, you know, I've always been in marketing and events. So like things like that people don't really think about jumping into tech, like there are these kind of positions available. So you know, someone might be like, oh, I want to do engineer, I want to do this, but like can potentially even be open to like doing something like being a deputy director or some sort of director in people operations within tech or whatever the case, right?
So important. The people are so important. I will say that is one thing with Civic Tech right now that a lot of our organizations are learning is like the people are the centerpiece of that. If you are a technologist, a software engineer, a data scientist, there are roles for you too. We need you 100%. But there are also so many people who are working to find opportunities for those folks. So many different roles. And I will shout out a conglomerate of orgs that we're a part of, Tech to Gov. They're actually specifically working on bringing technologists into government kind of as a response to a lot of the tech layoffs. So a lot of those organizations, the people on those teams are folks who are not necessarily folks with technical backgrounds. They're folks who are really passionate about connecting folks with technical backgrounds. So there's a place for everyone. I think it's a really it's, again, like I said, it's a field that's constantly evolving. And that means that there are just always new opportunities that we're finding as we kind of get year by year further along into the journey of it.
Yeah, thank you for mentioning those. If we have time at the end, if you could like drop a couple of those resources.
Oh, for sure, 1,000%. Yeah, they're actually having a career fair at the end of the month, which is really awesome. They're going to be bringing all kinds of state, local, and federal government offices and nonprofits to kind of share what open roles there exist in this space. So for sure, I will make sure that I drop that before we're done.
Perfect. Thank you so much. This is so far like really insightful. Like even for me, I'm like, oh my God, like, okay, cool. Because I even right. Like I'm in this role and I'm just like, oh no, like there's still a lot out there. Like it's amazing. Okay, so let's jump into our next question. What's your least favorite part? I know we've been talking like positive stuff and explaining what in public interest tech is, but what is your least favorite part about the civic tech, public interest tech industry?
That's a great question. I think, and maybe this is kind of an unconventional answer, but I think it is kind of the daily struggle that our team is fighting, is I think my least favorite part is that the opportunities for early career talent specifically are still pretty few and far between. Our team kind of popped onto the scene because we were early career folks looking for work in this space, and there wasn't a ton of it. I think that's for lots of different reasons, right? It's a new field, it's just emerging. So the focus oftentimes needs to be on mid-career or late career folks to kind of get things going, which makes so much sense. But I think we have always kind of led the charge for early career talent. And I think what we've been talking about, the visibility just isn't there, right? There are so many opportunities, but folks don't know about them. So that would probably be one of the most frustrating things. What's great is that it's frustrating, but we're working on it. So that's what kind of keeps me going. But I think the lack of opportunities for early career tech talent, what I'll say about that is that even in the past couple of years, we've started to see quite significant growth. So Coding It Forward was kind of one of the only orgs in the space doing that work. Our work in our fellowship actually was the primary inspiration for the Biden administration's US Digital Corps. So they, about a year and a half ago, launched their first 2-year early career fellowship program for technologists to work in government. Our work and what we had been doing for many years was kind of the inspiration for that. So even just in the past couple of years, we've seen quite a bit of growth. But I would say, if you want to say my least favorite thing, my most frustrating thing is just that I meet so many folks, undergrads, grad students, recent grads, boot camp and certificate grads, who are just kind of fresh out of their education, who are really eager to do this kind of work once they find out about it. And I just don't have a place for all of them. So I think that's kind of one of my least favorite things, is just that juggling of, wow, there are so many people once they find out about this who are really interested, but I don't have enough roles for them right now. So hopeful that there will continue to be progress as we make our way year over year further into this. But that would be probably the most frustrating thing for me right now.
I totally get it. And you're not even the first person to say that within, because like, it's funny because I've been having conversations all week,
Yeah.
and like you're I think the third person to say that. Like we've had people say like the whole early career positions are like
across the board and
out. Yeah. Mainly I'm assuming now in civic tech, but health tech and fintech.
For sure.
You like jump right into or mid-level positions.
Right.
And
you just need those skill sets, right, to jump right in. And it makes so much sense why that's a barrier. But I think I'm so glad that other people have been saying this, because it means that we're all kind of aware of it and that all of us can kind of work towards it. But yeah, I think that is probably the most frustrating piece.
I definitely think so. I definitely think that's going to be like something that people are going to be focusing on more and more, because I don't think people have a choice, to be honest. We need to. These like young grads and they're graduating boot camps, whatever the case, and they're coming out fresh. And even like, I'm 30, so even like people my age or older like are still doing boot camps and stuff like that, and still getting like really fresh into this workforce. So yeah, that's a whole other topic for another time. But anyways,
it's another conversation to have. I'm glad it's being brought up in this conference for sure.
Of course. So what's your favorite part about being in Civic Tech? What do you enjoy most about it?
I think kind of the exact opposite of what I just told you at the frustration. I think it's been very rewarding, especially a lot of my work has been throughout the pandemic. I was I'm now revealing my age, but I was a 2020 grad. And most of my work with Coding It Forward full time has been during the pandemic. And we've continued to run our fellowship throughout. We were remote. We still kind of are remote. But to be able to give opportunities to the next generation of tech talent has been the most rewarding thing for me, because I was that person not that long ago who started to get interested in this field, and found that there weren't too many opportunities. I really had to run down the couple of internships that I could find, and do a lot of work to connect with folks who are doing this work. And I think we've just seen the field blossom even since I started to get involved. And so it's been so rewarding to not only meet people, not even just early career folks, but folks all across all kinds of different backgrounds who are learning about this work, getting excited about this work, and are really eager to do this work. And then to be able to sit in my position and every summer place a cohort of fellows who get to do this work and learn about this work. And it's been even more rewarding to see our fellows after the 10 weeks of their program be so excited to find their next role. And if they can't find it immediately after our program or immediately after they graduate, we've seen our alums who are now multiple years into their careers come back to government, come back to public service, come back to social impact roles. And that has been so fun to see. So I think that's my favorite part, is just seeing the trajectory of folks' careers and realizing that our little 10-week internship is a small piece of people's kind of longer career pipelines. So yeah, being able to give people roles, especially during the pandemic, I think was really rewarding. And our government offices are fabulous. They're working on so many important products and services for folks living in this country. And to be able to see that our team has been able to give like a junior in college the opportunity to work with a team who's, distributing pandemic relief dollars or trying to help the city better understand how to serve their constituents is just, I don't even know if that, like, I realized what I was going to be doing when I took this role. And that has been just the coolest thing ever.
That's amazing. And also the fact that you said like that your organization is just a little small piece of like people's lives, like that's a lie. You're literally setting someone up to get jobs. So you are like starting their career off. So let's not even say that.
Well, especially folks from like I'm Latina, but obviously this is why we're here having this conversation. But to be able to, all our cohorts actually have been majority female, majority people of color, but to be able to place diverse people in these roles has also been especially rewarding, because I think everyone has a different background that they're bringing to the table. And so when you're bringing your background and your skill sets to the table in government, that just means that like whatever you're building is going to be that much more responsive to people throughout the country who also come from diverse backgrounds. So I will mention that as well. I just think that from my lens and my perspective as a person coming to this work, it's also really exciting just to see other people coming to this work and bringing their unique backgrounds to the roles as well.
I love that. So if anyone's looking for exactly diversity in their next role, Civic Tech is clearly the way to go.
Yeah, we need people with diverse backgrounds. It's the only way we're going to build the right products and services for people in this country. So we need more of you, and we need people with all kinds of different backgrounds to do that work.
Period. I love it. Love to hear it. I guess that kind of falls into my last question of like, what excites you most about the future? I think you kind of answered it, but like, please, like, keep going.
Yeah, I think part of what I just said for sure. And I think the field, as at least I hope all fields do, as they continue to evolve, continues to be more diverse as we recognize how important that is. So I think I'm really excited about the next generation of talent and the next generation of folks who are going to be building things in this country. When people find out that these roles are available, they're super excited. So I'm very excited about that. And I just think there's been so much growth in the past decade of Civic Tech existing that I like can't even imagine what it's going to be like in 10 years. So my hope is that it is more diverse, more reflective of our country, that we are working with people to build out products and services that are beneficial, that we've solved a little bit of the early career talent pipeline issue. And I think I'm very hopeful that that is possible. And so I'm just really excited to see how this field unravels over the next decade to 2 decades of just, if we've come this far since we kind of started doing this work, how much more can be done. So yeah, I think all the things I've said, plus what I just shared right now.
Yeah, I can't wait to hear more about, like, hopefully, like, we'll get together in the future and do more events and collaborations like this, so we could spread word about it. I think it's super important for people to definitely know about this industry. So there was a question actually from the chat. What are good places to look for civic tech positions? That's a great question. Like, where do you start?
I love it. I'm gonna actually just found the website. So I just dropped Tech2Gov, which is that coalition I was speaking about earlier that's really trying to mobilize and increase awareness of open roles for folks, especially who are being laid off in big tech. And then there's another organization. If you're an early career technologist, Coding It Forward is one. And I will quickly say, I'm not pubbing anything, but just for awareness and opportunities, if you're early career, our team's fellowship application actually opens on October 16th. So that opportunity is about to be open. And is a thing. If you're early career, a really great place to kind of start. We bring in a lot of speakers and stuff throughout the 10 weeks of the program to kind of expose folks to what's going on. And then there's actually this organization called Technologists for the Public Good that kind of recently came together. And they are just a broad coalition of folks They have a Slack group that you can be a part of that actually has a jobs channel where people are just constantly sharing different roles and opportunities. So that's another great place to look. So I think those are probably the two big ones. There are so many more, and I'm probably drawing a blank, but Coding It Forward is on Twitter or X or whatever we're calling it now. And we're always constantly sharing, constantly sharing opportunities and just amplifying the work that's being done in this space. So there, LinkedIn as well, I think is a really great place. If you start following, if you go to Coding It Forward and you start to see the orgs that we're attached to, if you just start following all of those, a lot of them are part of Tech2Gov. A lot of them are part of Technologists for the Public Good. I think those are really two great places to start, and you'll start to kind of see all the organizations that exist in this space, and you can learn a little bit more there. So please don't let the vastness of the space intimidate you. We need more of you, and so if you start poking around, I think these two, could give you 5 million more, but I'm going to leave you with those two because I think those are good places to start. And then maybe there's a way I can kind of share. Maybe I'll drop a tweet, or I don't know what they're called anymore, but I can link some other organizations who are doing this work. I need to get up to speed on what's happening. But I'll do that actually, maybe as an addition to my tweet about, or whatever they're called, about being a part of this event. I can drop some other organizations who are doing the work, but those are two great places to start. Tech2Gov, which is having that career fair at the end of the month, and then Technologists for the Public Good.
Amazing. Someone mentioned like remote fellowship. Is that a thing?
That's our program. Our program is remote. Will be mostly remote. Most roles will be remote this year. So yeah, that's another really awesome thing that happened during the pandemic is we went remote, and it's given us access to so many other people who wouldn't be able to do an in-person engagement. So yeah. And there's starting to be more roles in government like that too. Just an FYI, if you think that government's not going to let you work remotely, it's actually starting to be a thing that's more common. So yeah, lots of opportunities.
Amazing. I mean, This has been such a great conversation. I'm so happy that you took time out of your day to like talk to us through Civic Tech / Public Interest Tech. I'm going to start saying that more often. It's been really, really great talking to you. And, if anyone has questions, or someone said, could you please add the website for the fellowship?
Oh yeah, I should have done that a long time ago. Sorry.
No, don't be sorry. Don't be sorry. You're helping everyone here. So
also, am I dropping it in the right place? Are you seeing these links in the right place?
You're dropping it in the
Am I dropping it in the chat?
Yeah, I pasted over, so don't even worry about it.
Oh, okay. I was in the wrong. Sorry, guys. You've got me. I just dropped it in the right thing. So that's our fellowship link. But yeah, please come. We need you, and stop by that career fair. You'll get to talk to a bunch of really cool people doing this work and just learn a little bit more. I think they're going to have speakers coming and talking about it too. So yeah.
Perfect. Yeah, this has been great. Oh, see, people are like, this has been incredibly helpful. Yep, I agree.
Thank you. Thank you for showing up. Thanks for being interested.
Yeah, for sure. And if anyone has questions, you can find all of our speakers on our registration website. It's all their LinkedIns are there. You can also just type in Ariana's name in the people tab and search up her name. And when you click on her name, you'll see her LinkedIn. Sorry, I just glitched. Her LinkedIn available as well. And yeah, I mean, if there's any questions, feel free to drop them in the chat. I can always forward them to Ayana. And we could always definitely host another session in the future, whether it's on Hopin, LinkedIn Live, Zoom, whatever the case. And we'll let everyone know here about it as well. So Thank you all, Ariana. Thank you again so much for this. We appreciate it. And we'll see everyone soon.
Yeah, thanks everyone.
Bye.